if I didn't hate Tamlin in the beginning, I would really hate him at the end. Welcome back, and today we are going to be talking about a book called A Court of Mist and Fury, and this is actually the second book to A Court of Thorns and Roses. Before I get into this, there will be spoilers for this book and thus A Court of Thorns and Roses since it came first, so if you don't want those spoilers, you can go ahead and leave now. So, with that being said, let's get into the characters of this book. The characters in this book are very much the same as they were in the first book. So Feyre, our main character, who was human in the first book, was turned at the end into a Fae after her idea under the mountain with the evil witch. We see her with Tamlin, with his sidekick Lucien there as well. And then you also have Rhysand and his group that he considers family. They're kind of minor characters, so I'm not going to mention them much. The main characters are Feyre, Rhysand, Tamlin, and Lucien. Man, when I told you that I liked each character equally, in this one it's completely different because I liked Tamlin in the other one, and even said that he made a better Beast than Beast did from Beauty and the Beast, because this first book in the series very much felt like a Beauty and the Beast retelling, and I thought he was a much nicer Beast than the one in Beauty and the Beast. But that all changes in this book, which I will talk about in the summary. As I said, this is the second book in the series, A Court of Mist and Fury. And in this one, it has been 3 months since the ending of the first book. And we see Feyre getting ready for her wedding with Tamlin, except something's amiss. She doesn't seem to want to go through with this wedding and can't bring herself to tell Tamlin, and she's not even sure why that is. So she has a panic attack and basically doesn't want to go through with the wedding. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, because Raiden has the ability to basically teleport himself, he shows up because the bond and takes her away for his week to have her for himself. At first she's like, "Oh, why did you do that? I was about to get married." And he goes, "Honestly, let's face it, you did not want to marry Tamlin. You were screaming down the bond for anyone to come and save you. So that's what I did." She goes, "You're wrong. I love Tamlin, and here's why." And even while reading the first book, I was thinking, with her time under the mountain and Rhysand showing up at that one party, she had spent more time with Rhysand under the mountain than she did with Tamlin the entire first book. So I'm like, it didn't make sense for her to fully love him because of that. I'm like, at this point, she spent more time under the mountain with Rhysand than she did with Tamlin. Rhysand tells her, "Look, I only got you out of there because down the bond, you were screaming for someone to help you. You were screaming for someone to get you out of this before the marriage became official. That's the only reason I showed up. So you're not a prisoner here. I don't care what you do, where you go. If you want to go back to the spring court, by all means, go ahead and leave. I just helped you out when you needed it." Of course, he's being a little bit more smug about it and being his usual devil-may-care self and acting like nothing affects him in that way. But she decides, after that, she ends up going back to the spring court. And part of the reason Feyre did not want to go through with the wedding is because after what happened under the mountain, Tamlin has been keeping her under lock and key. Even though she is no longer human and is now a Fae who can take care of herself, he has been keeping guards on her to watch her 24/7. She is not allowed to go anywhere with Tamlin. She is basically being trapped in the castle as much as she was trapped in the cell under the mountain. And that's leaving her feeling miserable and giving her huge PTSD because she feels like she can't escape. And it all comes to a head one day when Tamlin decides to leave, and instead of letting Feyre come or talking her down or being reasonable and listening to what she has to say, he says, I'm gonna go do this, you're gonna stay here. And that was the end of it. He put wards over the castle so she could literally not get out. And she has a panic attack, like a full-blown panic attack, because she feels like she's right back in the Undermountain prison cell because she cannot even walk the garden in the castle. She's trapped inside. So Rhysand sends one of his friends or his family members to come and get her and whisk her away, saying that if he would have came and got her herself, that Tamlin could have declared war on him to get her back. So that was just sort of loophole. And because of that, she first snaps at him and says all this cruel stuff to him and how he's a prick and yada yada. But slowly, as she gets to know Rhysand personally, she starts to realize, maybe this is where I want to be. Maybe the Night Court's where I want to be. And she soon starts to learn more about Rhysand and about the fact that the Night Court, where his throne is not where he normally spends most of his days. He has a small village that he was able to keep hidden from the evil queen's influence, and that's where he lives, that town that he keeps sheltered from the eyes of others. Feyre slowly starts to come into her own with him and starts to heal, and he slowly starts to reveal to her things about herself, like the fact that she has powers from all of the 7 courts because they all helped turn her into a fae. So she is more powerful than all of them combined, and no power has power over her because she has all of them. They start to grow closer, and honestly, I found myself smiling every time Feyre and Reyes interacted with each other because it was just so damn sweet. Like, he let her come into herself. He let her have the space to heal, and he said, listen, if you want to leave, if you want to go back to Tamlin, that's your right. If you want to go somewhere with me, by all means ask me and I will take you. If you feel like you can do this, then do it. I'm not going to stop you. Whereas Tamlin was the exact opposite. Every time she asked him to do something, no. Every time she wanted to go somewhere with him, you're staying home. Every time she wanted to fight for herself, you're too weak. Where Tamlin acted like that, Rhysand gave her the ability to be herself and come into herself, which makes her slowly start to realize that maybe this is my home. This is where I want to be, because he's letting me be me, whereas Tamlin was treating me as a breakable prize to keep safe and to keep guarded at all times. And I can't stand that. I was suffocating. Tamlin is such an asshat. Like, he is such a jerk to Feyre throughout the book. And the family member that let me borrow this said, oh, if you hate him towards the beginning of the book, you're really going to hate him toward the end of the book. And she was not wrong. She did not spoil anything that he did. But she was definitely not wrong that I would hate Tamlin more by the end of it than I did in the beginning. If I didn't hate him in the beginning enough, he is an asshole, and that's all I have to say about him. But Rhysand, being the High King of the Night Court, is the exact opposite. You would think their personalities would be flipped, because Tamlin's the King of the Spring Court, and Rhysand's the King of the Night Court. You think one would be the dark, broody one who's kind of evil, and Tamlin would be the sunny, good one that whisks her away. But I like how they played into the opposite thing and made their personalities completely different from the courts that they govern over. That was a smart choice. And it shows that you can't base your opinion on someone based on where they come from or like their skin or their outer appearance. Because one could be all sunshine in appearance and be complete selfish, evil jerk, while the other one could be gloom and doom on the outside, but on the inside, they melt your heart because they're freaking sweet as hell. It's so adorable, and throughout Feyre's time with Rhysand, as cute as it is, there is a little plot by Rhysand going on, but he gives Feyre the option to help him or not. He is straight with her. He says here is why I need your help. But if you don't want to help me, I will find another way to do it. You by no means have to help me, but it would be so much easier because you have the powers of all the courts. It would be easy for you to find the pieces necessary to do what I need to do. And she goes, okay, actually, I'm going to help you. I am enjoying living in the night court and in this little sanctuary you have kept safe all these years. I'm finding my family here with you and the rest of your friends. I feel more like myself than I did now. And it's just so cute seeing his friends train her and her knowing about Raysan's quest and being like, I'll help you, and just him letting her come into herself. He lets her take the time to heal from what happened to her under the mountain. Not only because he was trapped under the mountain too and knows what she went through, but because he's just a good person that's like, okay, you need your space, I will give it to you. Not just because he knows. It makes them such a cute couple, and honestly, while they were under the mountain together, I thought they had more chemistry than her and Tamlin to begin with. Then we find out the reason why. When they were trapped under the mountain together, Raysan and Feyre, a bond had clicked into place between them after she became a Fae. And this is a mating bond. Mated pairs mate for life. It's not just marriage, it's not just a date, it's not just a crush. They mate for life. That had clicked into place, which he knew about but didn't tell her, but it all comes out fine in the end, and Feyre forgives him. And the way that they handled the mating bond and had it all come full circle from the last book was really well done, and I liked it a lot. And I found myself smiling at every interaction that Raysan and Feyre had. And the reason my family member said if I didn't hate Tamlin in the beginning, I would really hate him at the end is because it turns out that Tamlin made a deal with Hybern, the king and the real enemy of this series, to give him Feyre in exchange for helping him unlock the cauldron and bring back a Fae-hating human. I don't know to what end he wants the human. It doesn't make any sense because he's a Fae himself, but I don't know. It all turns out that Feyre is forced to go back to Tamlin to save herself, Raysan and his friends, and her sisters, who have been turned Fae so that the king could prove to the 4 human queens that they could become Fae themselves and it would be safe to do so. He wants to take back the human lands. I'm really interested to see how that plays out in the next book because I really enjoyed this book, and now Feyre is trapped once again with Tamlin, who she was desperate to get away from because she was actually bonded to Raysan. And so I'm going to start the 3rd book in the series soon. It's upside down. It's not much bigger than the second one. The second one was 626 pages. This one is close to 700, so it shouldn't take me that much longer to read this one. Maybe it might take me less time because I'm back in the mood to read, which I haven't been in the mood to read pretty much all year. I don't know why, but I'm glad I'm back in the mood to read, and I might start this as soon as this video is done recording. So I hope you guys enjoyed, and I hope to see you next time.